Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Raft Platinum Trophy. Now, Raft is one of my personal favorite survival games I've ever played. I even played it way back before the game had an official ending and was actually finished in 2020. Yeah, your boy was on this OG style. The last year, or I guess 2 years ago, almost last year, the developers being Red Beat Interactive dropped Raft somewhat shadowly on the PS5. I don't know if I fell off with my up-to-dateness online, but I didn't see them say anything about this, and it's pretty sad because this game is so fun. But enough of the yapping. The game in total holds 43 trophies with the platinum. It takes an estimated 30 hours on the trophy guide, but that is pretty misleading because actual times vary upwards of 200, and we'll touch on that later in this video. So starting off Raft's platinum today, stage 1 should just beat the story. Now that Raft is officially finished with this version, the game's story is as well, and the way the story works in Raft is you first have to build 3 antennas and a receiver to then input coordinates that ping the story location islands. You then go to them and do everything and then get more coordinates for the next one and then repeat that cycle until you finish the game. But before all of that, you start off as nothing more than a mere man and a few slabs of wood drifting through the ocean with not much hope for survival. The entire world has gone through some sort of apocalyptic flooding and everyone is trying to figure out what to do to survive in this new flooded world. You gather materials from trash drifting towards you, which can then be transformed into pretty much anything we would need. As you drift along in the beginning of the game, you also will encounter many tiny islands right away, and if you make an anchor, you can stop at them. If not, you might lose the good old Raft. Rest in peace. But I basically just did this cycle for the first 30 minutes of my time here, reliving all the memories I had about 6 years ago now, which is just crazy. I can't even believe it's been 6 years since I played this game. It genuinely feels like a few months or something. I have dementia. But after getting enough materials to start constructing some more important things, and also because my food and water meters have fallen, I created a little simple grill to cook some food on, and I got my first trophy of the day from doing just that. I also got a trophy a minute or two after from intern making a simple water purifier so we can finally quench our thirst in this sea of salt water. Moving on from those trophies and setting up basic survival, I just kept on doing the ritual of gathering items because you will forever need them in this game. Eventually, I did drift into a bit more of a larger island, and while I would loot it and scavenge it, I also fought the damn shark that is constantly annoying us today throughout the game. And after I killed it for the first time of many times today, I got the trophy Beginner Shark Hunter from killing it. Now, looting these bigger islands takes quite some time, especially in the beginning portion of the game because you really do just need everything from them. But with all of the new items I got at this point, I was able to construct both a sail and an anchor for my raft. The sail is very important because we can now go much faster and also somewhat control the way we travel. And the stationary anchor, I should have said it like that because there is 2 different anchors in this game, is also really good and it can be reused over and over and over forever, unlike the previous anchor I had, which was just a plastic bucket and some rocks. But after making those both, I got a trophy from it because we officially have a good raft, I guess. Not great, but good. So again, we just kept on sailing towards the horizon in hope of finding anything significant. And after about 30-ish minutes more of sailing, I would notice a very large landmass in the distance. And this island turned out to be an actual large classified landmass. These are huge islands and they're not story, but they do have trading posts on them, which is a newer addition to the game, where you can sell things at them, and also a few trophies do relate to them. But before all of that, just simply going on a large island for the first time gets you this trophy pop right here. Anyways, while exploring this island, I got a ton of stuff and I decided to start making some more complex things. But I would run out of a few materials I needed, so I just swam back to the path I sailed to get there, grabbing some items as I went. And I ended up swimming so far away, it was actually just faster to die than to get all the way back to my raft, because on easy difficulty, you keep your items at death and you just teleport back to the raft anyway. But while I guess I was drowning myself, I got a trophy called Exploring the Depths from reaching below 100 meters. And it's just pure black down there, so very cool indeed. And after that, I did invest heavily into my raft and I made quite the good setup. In fact, I had a working receiver and the 3 antennas it uses all set up. Now, these were a bit annoying to set up because they have to be elevated, but you can do a very makeshift version of that like I did, because I couldn't afford to make an entire other floor of my raft. And if you just place a few structure supports and then one floor and just put the antenna on them, it works fine. But yeah, basically at this point, I had a pretty solid setup going at it. I think I'm already like 6-ish hours into the game, so it's about time. But with the working receiver, finally, I was able to track the first story location, and it's the radio tower. So I sailed over to it, and upon reaching the place, you don't get any trophies. But you do once you reach the very top of the radio tower and the actual tower. Before that, however, there is numerous items to loot, note collectibles, which we do need all of, and blueprints. Everything you need for the most part, however, is in the path of the story flow, so it's very likely you'll get all these collectibles on accident, if not miss like 1 or 2. You can always sail back to these story locations later, however, if you do miss something. Anyways, I finally made it to the top and we find some random person just sitting there inside the tower. But I also got a trophy from just making it there. This girl then chats us up for a bit before saying she will join us on the journey, and spoiler, she kind of doesn't, but rather you can now play as her as a playable character if you wish, and this girl is also part of the playable character trophy today. Basically, in every or almost every major story location, there is a character at the end of them, and you gotta find them all for a trophy. It's not hard at all though. Unfortunately, however, I would miss one note in this place, so I had to run around it for a minute or two to find it. By the way, we also learned here that the shark that's following us is just autistic, and he thinks we're his father. His name is Bruce, by the way. But then I found my final note collectible that I missed, and the last one, which is just swell. But it was blending in, it's not my fault. And yeah, there's the trophy pop from all of the notes on the radio tower. So that was all the excitement for quite some time. I did get the next coordinates for the next location already, so I headed off in that direction. However, I would end up stopping at multiple islands on the way, both big and small, just to get more stuff, you know, the typical. A few hours later though, I did finally reach the next story location, and this time it was the cruise ship, or I guess it's technically called the Vazgatan, I guess is what they named it. But inside this place there's a lot of stuff, including items, but also notes, blueprints, and key items this time, which is a new thing. You had to find quite a few special items to use throughout the ship, whether it be for opening a door, blowing open a door, etc. You know, just normal things like that. And the first of those was a bomb that we made to open up the captain's door, which was pretty much just locked and barricaded. After blowing it up, however, you do get a trophy, which is very funny. And inside this room, I also got the all collectible trophy as well, which was very nice. I love not missing anything first try. It makes my blood flow downwards.
4K.
But that was basically it for the cruise ship. And this story location is honestly a bit underwhelming. It looks very, very cool upon arriving, but there really isn't much to behold inside of it. Blowing up something was pretty sick though, I can't lie. So I kept on going to the next story location as you do. And it took far less time because I was just going directly for it. I had sort of reached my max potential right now with everything. And that's because the actual really good stuff like engines, steering wheels, all of that are learned from blueprints at more further in the game story locations. And yeah, but those things speed up everything, so I'm trying to get those as fast as possible. But the third place that I went to was just a giant ass island called Balboa Island. And on this island there is numerous relay towers which all have to be visited and fixed for us to unlock more locations on the island for collectibles, blueprints, you know the drill. There also is a guy on this one for that character trophy. But the first trophy I would get was on complete accident from stumbling into this bike which was making a bell noise. And after I got to it, I rang the bell myself, which popped me a trophy. Under different circumstances, this actually would be horrifying, but yeah, this isn't a Resident Evil game. Oh yeah, this island is also swarmed with bears. They are literally everywhere. It's an issue. But thanks to the bow and arrow in this game, killing them isn't much of an issue. Truly all bark, no bite. Unless you miss, that is. A little bit later on during this island, I also stumbled into another trophy location. But it was just this like metal structure resembling a family with notes all inside of it. Someone was definitely lonely here, I guess. But after pressing square or use on one of them, they completely fall apart and you get a trophy calling us a murderer. I swear it wasn't on purpose.
Stop the cap.
Now as you go throughout this place, a lot of key items are scattered in story areas, with one being a simple light bulb. And if you grab that, then find this little robot person and place that on his head, you get a trophy from saving Earl. Maybe all clankers aren't bad after all. Anyways, those are the wholesome trophies on this island, but there is one more, and it's called Mother Load, from defeating the Mother Bear on Balboa Island. And this is actually a very, very hard fight. However, you can do it in a very, very easy way. Simply gather 5 blueberries from around the island on blueberry bushes. There is a lot of them, so you shouldn't really have any issues finding them, and then place them into this giant basket and it will draw the mother bear over for dinner time. Also, make sure to bring a ton of bow and arrows. I ended up bringing way too much, but you know, better safe than sorry. And to actually kill this thing, you just sit up on a rock perch behind it near the cave and then shoot, and shoot. After hitting the bear with enough arrows, preferably metal ones, it will die, and I kind of feel bad, but like hey, it's trophy, man. It had to be done. That thing would have ate us as a snack. So that was the last miscellaneous trophy of this island. The next two are both story from getting all of the relay stations online and then taking all of the key items we got from them to this tool wall. And after placing all of the tools, it falls off the wall and shows us a secret note which got us the trophy itself. But then picking up that note also gave us a trophy from finding all of the notes, assuming you didn't miss any like myself, so very cool. Also, for some more lore, if you don't get all the notes in order like you're supposed to, the last one which pops us the trophies is always just the next story island's coordinates, so that's fun, and where we were headed to next. And this next island is called Caravan Town, a town entirely composed of caravans scattered throughout it. And nothing happened on the journey over, so that's lame. But upon arriving at Caravan Town, it's a little bit annoying. This island isn't my least favorite out of them in the story, but it's definitely up there. And that's for a lot of reasons. For one, it's just a mess of a location. Like, whoever built this town was genuinely smoking something. It is pretty much as confusing as it gets. But there's also this eagle that like flies overhead and just drops giant boulders on us the entire time. The dude's a piece of shit.
Oh my god!
And the other really annoying thing is that this is the first island of any which has item gatekeeping, in terms of you need 2 things to even explore it all and complete it. One of which was explosive powder, and this is gotten from killing pufferfish, and I may have completely forgot that, so every time I saw one so far, I've just kind of killed them, and that's about it. But the other item is the zipline tool, and this one is story gate capped in terms of you get it on this island, but you know, it's still annoying. So I would end up going here and really accomplishing nothing, and then just kind of sailing away to a large island to see if any pufferfish spawned in, and also to just buy explosive goo from the trading post, which can then be melted down into the powder. And I thought it was the opposite way, to be honest. I think that makes far more sense if you melt a bunch of powder into goo and not the other way around. But hey, I'm not a scientist like Joe Rogan, so whatever. After an hour of struggling, I did finally get everything I needed to explore this place fully, and it was still a mess. But I didn't miss anything somehow, thank the Lord. And after finding my final note, I got the trophy from getting all of them on this island. And I was then off. Yeah, no other trophies were gotten there. And the next location was and is the coolest and biggest out of them all, in my opinion, being called Tangora. I don't fucking know. But this area is just a giant ass domed in city, seemingly a perfect location for anyone wishing to survive would want to live in. But upon arriving, it seems a little bit dead. The city has no lights on, and it was so mundane. As a matter of fact, I just cooked up a meal using a recipe I found, and I got a trophy because I was so bored and hungry. But then I did finally go into the place, and it was very cool. This island does a great job at having story locations work well with each other, and while you do get stuck and lost a lot, it all makes sense and ties together well. But at first, to get into the place, you have to actually flood the underground entrance. It's a little bit confusing, but it does make sense when playing. However, this area is giant, so I'm just gonna jump to the trophies because I spent quite a few hours here exploring it all. The first trophy I got out of the many heroes from actually doing a little Easter egg. Once you finally reach the elevator that is in the underground area, or the entrance area, I guess, there's a little button in the left corner of the door frame. After pressing it, you then go way down below the sea, and you get a trophy from doing that. Very cool indeed. My next one was then just from the story and launching the top of this place. Literally launched. Like, we launched the roof of the building off the building, and it was awesome. Here's that trophy popping, by the way. So then, as you would expect, you go swim over to the previously launched roof, and inside the place was another character for the all character trophy, and also the final collectible we needed for that trophy as well. I did get 2 more trophies here, however. First was another little secret one in the storage room. This was an area I had to go through earlier, but now that it's all flooded, it made it a little hard to do what I needed to. However, I actually would say it's easier to get the trophy from entering this secret room below us with it flooded. Sure, you can't see anything, but I saw this bit as dropping an item where I want to move a box, and it wasn't that bad. Also, all you need to do is make a gap to where the door is and not some intricate path, because with it flooded, you can kind of just sneak in swimming. So yeah, GG, and here's the trophy from entering the secret room. And I said wrong earlier when claiming I had only gotten 2 more trophies, because it was actually 3, with my final 2 more trophies being related. First, from purchasing a piano at this intricate vending machine thing that this island had, and then playing it. Very easy. And then from spending 30 tokens total. There is also more vending machine islands later, so if you can't quite spend 30 here, don't worry, you'll have other chances in the future. So moving on from that island, I put in the next one, and it was actually the second to last island before the finale island. This time, however, it wasn't really an island, it was rather just some sort of construction site that never finished called Varuna Point. And this area may not look like much at first, but that's because all of the key items and locations are buried underwater. And this is an almost entirely underwater area. Before that, though, I did get a trophy from just using the zipline at the top of the crane and going all the way down to the other structure right here. So I then began the underwater saga, and for the most part, it's very casual and peaceful. Aside from constantly drowning, it's just a bunch of looting, finding notes, and then finally getting this light to move some jellyfish out of the way so we could enter this tube, which led to the tiny structure's underwater part. And inside this area, there is a boss fight. Yup, one of only 2 boss fights in the game are at Varuna Point against the Rhino Shark. And my god, is this fight confusing at first. Yes, I did Google it. don't shame me. But spoiler, you can't damage the rhino shark with any tool. Instead, you have to bait him into smashing pillars, holding up this place, and then in turn, put an explosive barrel in them where they are destroyed. Then you have to bait him again, and in turn it will blow up in his face, literally. It's a little bit hard to get the bait and switch done right first try, so just play around with it, and after a while you'll figure out how to do it good. After reaching the third and final floor, you then have to do the usual one more time, and the fight will end with us winning in a trophy pop. This also does allow us to now go into the final areas of this location to find the final notes, and I got that trophy pop as well. I was still missing one more trophy here, however, from finding these cache locations, and I'm a little unsure what exactly this is for, but you had to just find 3 areas where a giant G was painted, then loot these crates. It's really not awful, it's just a little bit confusing. After finding my last one, I got the trophy, and here it is popping. So there is one more location to go to now before the finale, and that is an island called Temperance, a fully snow and ice location, and probably the one with the most intricate puzzles on it. Before that, however, I did get a trophy from finally reaching level 3 or max level in the trading post. This is done by just buying fish lures, fishing fish, selling them, and repeating. It's very easy here to trophy pop. But then I did make my way over to Temperance, and this island is massive, by far the biggest in the game in terms of just land mass, but there actually isn't that much on the island. There is 2 locations outside and 1 inside. The 2 outside are the Igloo Village and then the Observatory, and the 1 inside is the nuclear power plant. But both the locations outside hold key items required to get inside the underground nuclear power plant. However, before doing that, I got an easy trophy from just crashing my snowmobile into the ocean. Shameless pollution, I'm sorry. But fast forward to when I made it into the nuclear power plant, because a lot of puzzles to get there did happen, and I don't feel like talking about them. Once inside the place, you have to do more puzzles, and ultimately you are trying to solve the problem of radiation leaking everywhere from this power plant. And before even fixing it, I just ended up finding all the notes and getting every trophy from that, which is very cool. But to solve the issue, you had to go to the control room and turn 3 of these valves to close the thing, all the while giant enemy spiders attacked us. It's always giant spiders, man, I swear. But after doing that and saving this place from further contamination, you reach this room with people frozen in cryopods. What the f is happening here? And we let one of the dudes out, who then thanks us for saving him because his homies left him here. That's insane work, not gonna lie. But after that, it was all done on Temperance, and we headed off to the final location of the game called Utopia. On the way, also finally got a trophy I've been ticking away at all game called the Renovator, from learning all the crafting recipes from packages. Now, packages get randomly thrown into barrels as you play, and this is a natural trophy. But only a few minutes later, we made it to Utopia finally, and yeah, it's cool, I guess. I low-key would rather live in the dome place personally, but hey, it's definitely functional. And don't hate me for saying this, but this island is cool, don't get me wrong. However, I think it's one of the worst and most annoying locations of the game. I literally just want to find out what happens to beat the game, but then 2 more hours of puzzles stood in my way, and it's just not it. I feel like the devs should have done far less puzzles for this area and more just fun, but whatever. I did get a few trophies throughout. Actually, just kidding. I got 1, and it was just from beating the game after hours of puzzles. What did happen here, though, once we finally got past the numerous dumb as shit puzzles, was another boss fight against this antagonist guy named Olaf, I think, and his giant hyena dog creation. But all you have to do in this boss fight is just kill it. You can use anything. It's just a normal boss fight. You then chase Olaf to the edge of a building, and he falls. Not quite like that. He just gets caught on a light strand. Bro could very easily get back up, but okay. And yeah, that's it. The game then ends off with this place just being full of people, food, and yeah, a trophy pop. Bit of a lame ending to the game, but I mean, what can we really expect? It's kind of left up to interpretation almost. So now it's time for stage 2 of this trophy guide, and where everything falls apart completely. I needed 8 more trophies, and every single one is for the most part complete bullshit besides like 1 or 2. And one of those trophies is called Expert Excavator, from digging up 50 packages using a metal detector and shovel. And this one is so easy because you can actually just save, load, farm it, so you literally can just dig up one spot over and over. But other than that, the rest of the trophies are ridiculously stupid, and we're gonna go through them all and why I didn't bother to get them. First of all, the bookworm trophy is broken. I got literally every single blueprint in the game, and it didn't pop. I bought them all from the trading post, got every single one on every single island, and nothing. So GG, good trophy bug developers. But then these 4 trophies all have insane RNG. Starting with the former glory trophy. You can find tiki head pieces occasionally from digging up things on big islands, but this trophy is heavily RNG, and the chances of finding a tiki head are 7.25% and under. Then another 25% chance per head. So yeah, it's pretty unlikely you'll get this without finding numerous ones. And after all my time today, I only ever found one, so GG. And the other trophy, called Artistic Collection, is somewhat the same thing, but regarding to 8 different paintings you can find digging up stuff, and I never found any, so cool. For more reference on how annoying these trophies are, for every large island that shows up on the receiver, there is only 2 dig spots, and on random small islands, there is 1. So you have to find hundreds of islands to get these trophies, and speaking of finding hundreds of islands, let's go to the next 2 trophies. Oh Captain, My Captain, and Not a Great Landing. Both of these trophies relate to finding special islands that have a below 2% chance of spawning in randomly when coming in view. Players all over report these trophies as being damn near impossible to get because of how rare they are to find. And there being essentially no methods to help. Simply sailing for hundreds of hours, going to thousands of islands, a miserable experience. And I ended up finding them on my Steam account, but again, this game does not have great working trophies, and when you're in co-op, nothing works, nothing pops. So I went to both the Pirate Island and the plain one, and the trophies didn't pop, which is just swell. Now the last 2 trophies I didn't do are both just more RNG. I guess that cooking one is just farming, but I don't give a shit anymore. I love this game, and I think it's one of the most fun time killers out there in the survival genre, but god damn, I'm just not spending 200 hours on it for a trophy. I got a life to live. GG boys, thanks for watching.